So, today in today's lecture I will start a new section on direct sums and projections. Before we start formally, I would like to motivate little bit. Direct sums is a concept which will play very important role in the investigation of linear maps especially, and it is also a generalization of a concept of basis that you will see in a minute. And the projections are special kinds of linear operators on a vector space. So, when I have enough vocabulary that I will say more about it. So, as usual we will say K is our field, scalar field, and V is K vector space. And what we are looking for is we want to break this vector space into smaller pieces, and so that linear operators on V can be restricted to those subspaces, and that study will become easier. Okay. So, this is the crux of the matter. So, I will recall first what we have done earlier and then supported by examples how useful it is. So, let UI be a family of K subspaces of V. Could be finitely many, could be infinitely many, and so on. Now, remember we have defined the product. On the product set, Cartesian product set, we have a vector space structure here which is component wise addition, which is coming from UI, and component wise scalar multiplication, and the elements here we are denoting by I tuples UI, I in I, these are I tuples. Yeah. So, and we have considered a subspace of this, that we have called it direct sum UI. This is a K subspace of this bigger one, precisely all those I tuples for which UI equal to 0 for almost all I in I, and this we have called a direct product, and this we have called direct sum of the family UI. This is also of UI. In general, they may not be equal, especially when I is infinite, then they are definitely not equal. If all of them are non-zero, and in finite case they will always be equal. So, if you have finitely many U1 to UN subspaces, then if you write like this direct sum, that is same as the direct product, because there is no condition on the tuples. So, in this case also we know their dimensions, dimension of this will be precisely the sum of the dimension. Not only dimension, you will also know the basis. If you know basis of U1, basis of U2, basis of UN, then you can putting together and by adding zeros to the other components will get a basis of this. So, this is what we have seen earlier, and another thing, another construction we have seen, is for a family of subspaces UI, we have also constructed a new subspace which we called it as sum of the family UI, and by definition this was a K subspace smallest K subspace which contain all UIs, and such a smallest subspace exists if I is non-empty, of course, and that is denoted by this sum, and it is denoted by the sum notation because we can actually describe the elements of this. This is precisely the set of all linear combinations UI, where is in UI for each I, and also this tuple UI actually belong to, let me not write tuple because with the condition UI equal to 0 for almost all I. This condition is ensure that this sum makes sense in general, and it is very easy to see that this actually a subspace which contains all the UIs and it is the smallest one. So, therefore, this equality here. Now, it would be very nice if we to compute a dimension of the sum, for example, even for a sum of two subspaces, we had to use a dimension formula, because that is like inclusion exclusion principle in linear algebra. So, it is not quite easy for many subspaces how do we compute the dimension. Okay. But there definitely there is one nice linear map from a direct sum to a sum. What is the map? Any element here is a tuple UI, I in I, with the condition that almost all UIs are 0. So, you can map this to the sum. This makes sense. And this map is obviously K-linear map. Not only K-linear, also it is evidently it is surjective. Because any element of this sum, just now we noted any element of this sum is a sum like this, and that sum has only finitely many components, could be non-zero, and so it is coming from the corresponding tuple. So, if we can manage to compute the kernel, then we could use rank theorem to decide what is the dimension of this, and it would be also nice if this is an isomorphism, because if this is an isomorphism, then this dimension will be equal to this dimension we know it is sum of the dimensions of the UIs, and therefore, this dimension we would know. So, it is interesting to note when I will characterize soon characterization where this map is an isomorphism. Okay. So, that is the aim first few minutes I will characterize the situation where such a map is an isomorphism. Okay. If it is an isomorphism, so let me also use the terminology. If this map it is not, obviously it is not always an isomorphism, especially when the intersection. So, even for two subspaces where the intersection is non-zero, then this map cannot be an isomorphism. If this map is an isomorphism, then the sum space this is called then the sum space is called the direct sum. Now to distinguish, I will write here internal direct sum, and we will write and usually denoted by sum, and I will put that plus around circle, that is like this ui. We will analyze when the sum is a direct sum soon. Why do we call it internal? Because see, all this is happening inside a vector space V. This sum is a subspace inside V with additional property that above map is a isomorphism. That is the reason why one calls it a internal direct sum. Internal direct sum. In the other this notation, so for the same reason it is called external, similar reason, external direct sum of the family ui. But if one is careful, it is visible from the notation, because we are using different notations, right. It is called external because this is not happening inside V, it is happening inside the product space. So, their vector space structures are different. So, that is the reason it is called external direct sum. So, let us see one example to illustrate this. This example will also illustrate that this concept is a generalized, see, internal direct sum is an extension of the concept basis. So, that is what I want to illustrate in this example. So, V is a vector space. So, let xi I in I be a basis, be a k basis of a k vector space V. Then you look at the family ui. Ui is a subspace generated by xi for each I. So, this ui is nothing but all scalar multiples of this fixed xi. So, they are a xi, a varies in the field k. This is one dimensional, a dimension of ui is exactly 1 for all I. And V, in fact, whole V is a direct sum of internal direct sum of all these k x's. This is clear because first of all V is a sum, because every element of V is a k-linear combination of these x's, because this is a basis, and not only k-linear combination, such combination is also unique, the coefficients are uniquely determined, and that will make that map to be an isomorphism. So, therefore, what we are looking for is, we are looking for a decomposition of V, we are looking for a representation of V as direct sum like this, direct, not like this, at least for not getting confused we should use this notation I in I ui. V equal to this, where Ui is a family of K subspaces. Ui may not be one dimensional, Ui may be more dimensional, may not be infinite dimensional, but we want to break this F V like this. And how we choose Ui, it will depend on the linear operator that we want to study on V and what properties we would like to have. So that we can restrict to, when we restrict to these subspaces Ui, we can induct on the dimension and many such problems will become easier. So, so that is the idea. So, when the, as we go on more and more of such examples, I will keep saying. So, in this case what does this direct sum decomposition means? This means V, first of all there are two things, V should be the sum and every element of V, because of this equality, every element x in V can be written as summation Ui I in I, with the property that these Ui's are almost all 0 for almost all indices I. But such a expression in general may not be unique, and we want to insist now these Ui's are uniquely determined by x and Ui are uniquely determined by x. This is precisely the condition of the map, the natural map we have from the direct sum to the internal direct sum. That map is injective. This is precisely the meaning of that. So, this will make this sum to be internal direct sum. So, that is the thing. Okay. And in this case, if I know in this case, so we can do more. In this case, if I choose a basis for each Ui, if y what do I call it, yj as j varies in some indexing set I is a k basis of Ui. This is for each I in I. For each subspace you choose a basis and put it together. That means what you consider then yj as j varies in the union of all these ii's and disjoint union I in I. This is a k basis of V. Because they will not intersect. Okay, so this is the main thing. So let us first analyze what happens. So the first thing I want to note is the following. So let us write it as a lemma. If given vector space V is a direct sum of the subspaces finitely many u1 to un, and now I am going to drop internal and external, it will be clear from my writing what I am talking. That is V equal to this, I is from 1 to n. This means V is a sum and that is a direct sum. Then V is finite dimensional, if and only if u1 to un are finite dimensional, and moreover dimension of V will be the sum of the dimensions. Just above that I said. So, the proof is just simple verification that you take the basis of each ui and put it together, and that will be a basis of V. So, this is precisely what we did in when we proved the existence. We proved that in fact ui's are one dimensional, but sometimes there may not we would like to have a decomposition of V in a direct sums, but with special other properties, and that time one dimensional may not exist. For example, when you are looking for eigenvectors, eigenvalues, that time it may not be one dimensional, and then we will have to. So, this is very. Now, I am going to characterize when the sum is a direct sum, that means when that above the first map is a isomorphism, and especially the kernel injective. See, more important is injective. So, surjectivity is just definition. Okay. So, the characterization for a sum to be a direct sum. This is what we are talking. That means, if I given a family ui I in I, family of k subspaces of V, then what I want to say is when the sum is a direct sum. How does one test it easily? Because to check some map is injective, we have to find a economical way to test when the map is injective, that the given map. So, let us write this in the form of theorem. That is, we are asking when is this equal to this. Okay. So, with the same notation as above, the following are equivalent. Number 1, the sum is direct. Is direct. So, that is in the writing the sum equal to this. Two, for every u element u in the sum, there exist unique elements ui in ui, almost all of them 0, with u equal to summation ui. See, every element has such expression, that is no big deal, but what is more important is unique. Okay, third one, or let me call it 2 prime. If summation ui is 0, where with ui's elements in ui for each I and ui's are 0 for almost all, then each ui is 0, similar to linear independence. This is 2 prime. And third, for every j in I, uj intersection the remaining sum I in I and I is not j, ui, this has to be 0. Remember, for two subspaces we have defined the sum u plus w is a direct if intersection u intersection w is 0. This is similar to that. For 2 it is matching with this. So, let us prove this. So, proof. One, if and only if 2, if and only if 2 prime, this is easy from definitions. Now, I will indicate the proof 2 prime. So, we will prove 2 prime if and only if 3, and that will make equivalence complete. So, first let us prove 2 prime implies 3. That means we have given that if sum is 0 with each ui in ui and ui is 0 for almost all, then each ui is 0, then I want to prove that this intersection is 0. So, take somebody common elements here. So, let x belong to u intersection I in I minus j, let me write it, ui, and j is fixed, j in I is fixed. Then we want to prove, this is what we want to prove, that x is 0 by assuming 2 prime. Well, x is here means what? X is here means first of all x is in the sum. So, x will have expression summation ui I in I minus j and almost all i's, I forgot here j, almost all I, for almost all I ui's are 0. So, that this sum makes sense. On the other hand, this is also in uj because it is in the intersection. So, that means I can call it uj, just call it uj and shift this to the other side. Then what do we get? We will get summation ui, now I can write I in I because this j I have added there with the minus if you like, but if uj is in uj then minus uj is also in uj, and then this sum is 0 with the property that almost all of them are 0 because at most I have added this uj, almost all are 0 and the sum, no 2 prime says that if the sum is 0 then all of them are 0. So, that will imply ui equal to 0 for all I, in particular for I equal to j. For I equal to j, x is uj and that is also 0. So, that means we have proved x is 0. So, this is I will write here if more, this part is slightly invisible. So, I will write if the sum ui is 0 by 2 prime all ui's are 0. In particular, x which was uj, that will also be 0. That is what we wanted to prove. Okay, so that proves 2 prime implies 3. Now let us prove the converse. 3 implies 2 prime. Now we have given 3, that is what is given for all j in I, uj intersection the remaining sum this is 0, that is given for each j, and we want to prove that the sums, and what do we want to prove? Want to prove if the sum is 0, sum of ui is 0, obviously we have a property that ui belong to ui and almost all of them are ui's are 0. Then I want to prove each one of them is 0. Okay. So fix a j in I. Then I want to prove uj here is 0. So I will keep that uj on one side and remaining guys I will shift to the other side. So what will we get? Then we will get uj equal to minus ui I in I minus j, this equality, because I shifted, but this is same as summation I in I minus j minus ui, and these guys, if ui's are in u, then these guys are also in ui. But that means on one side these belong to uj, on the other side this sum belongs to the remaining ones. So this element is in the intersection. But we have given that for each j this is 0, this is by 2 prime, by 3 assumption. So uj must be 0. So that implies uj is 0, and that is true for all. So that proves 3. So that implies 3. So we have proved that to test some sum is a direct or not, we have to test for each subspace intersection with the remaining sum should be a 0 subspace. Okay, so we will stop and continue after the break.